Jack, good morning.
Yo,
Hey, hey.
sup,
Well,
man?
I'm glad to have seen you yesterday and glad you got to meet my very old bud, Mark Denny.
Yep, yep. He seems interesting.
He's only 30 miles and I've never actually visited him and he's never visited me. That's got to change.
Well, that does in fact happen. I mean, I'm probably 30 miles from Tom Monarchy, and I've only gone down and had lunch with him once.
And met him in Dubrovnik.
Not Monarchy.
He wasn't
Monarchy,
one? Are you
Mon
sure?
no, Monarchy didn't go to Dubrovnik.
Ah, I thought for sure he did. Who was it that I met in Dubrovnik then that you brought?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm not sure I know.
This would have been 2014, I think.
Uh, Were you there the time we went first to Zagreb and then rode a bus?
Yes, I think that was my first trip, and that was 2012, I think.
That was 2012. And what happened was I actually could not afford to go, except Maylin called me one night. I was at Bill Fenwick's house at a sort of a group meeting. And Maylin called me and she said, "Do you still want to go to Dubrovnik?" And I said, "Yeah, I do, but I don't have the money." And she says, "Well, I've got you a $10,000 contract." And so I called the airlines and got got a flight right away. And what she had set up was is that she got a deal with the DOD to work on a secret project behind vaults in Baltimore, to reinvent medicine in the military. And she had got David Price into it, and she got Bill Dahl into it, and she wanted me to do a topic map of what they were doing. So you remember when we were at that hotel, in a bed and breakfast or whatever it was in Darfur?
Or
We were on the bus from Zagreb, and we spent the night at a place where there was a bridge that had been blown up, and we
Mostal or Mosul or Mostar.
Mostar, yes, you're right.
Yes.
Where did I get Darfur? Mostar, and it was because so at any rate, David and I and Mei Lin sat in the cafeteria till 2 in the morning working on the Air Force, the military project. And then Mei Lin and I just died and conked out, because we're on California time and David was on much closer to local time.
Yeah, UK time. Yeah.
And so he kept going and he finished the project, and they sent it out to the military and mail in. So I was required to sit in the back of the bus. I kind of wanted to sit with Yuzuru, but I ended up sitting in the back of the bus, um, with David Price. And the reason is that Malin wanted me to coax David into making debate graph open source.
Hmm.
She's quite the manipulator, if you may recall.
I do recall. But I
And
don't think David has ever done that, right?
No,
It's
no.
your contract. Yeah,
He was quite open to the idea, but he had to talk it over with his partner, and his partner wanted nothing to do with it.
right.
And I don't really understand why that is, except I do know this. The original graph was pure JavaScript, but modern debate graph is written in .NET.
Mm,
And it wouldn't, to you and me, it wouldn't be very useful.
yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
think
true that C Sharp and Java are so close together that there are transliterators that could map it over, but and you could probably ask Grub or one of those LLMs to
Grok or
grok,
Claude.
but
Yeah.
I've started calling it Grub. It's it, but yeah, so 2014, who did I don't
It wasn't 2014 that you brought him, if I was correct, and I don't think I am since you say I'm not. But in 2014, you brought one or two others, and I thought one of them was named Tom.
To be very honest with you, 2014 was the year I was forced to miss. That was 1 year after I got married, and it just wasn't advisable. But in 2016, it became okay. So I went to 2016, which turned out to be the last one. And there I brought Marc Antoine and a guy whose name I forget.
Yeah, 2016, I did not go because that's the year I moved from the Bay Area up here to
Yeah,
Washington State.
yeah, yeah. No, 2014 was the year that you went and you took your lady and you showed me a picture of her kissing people on the street. And
Oh, yes. That
uh,
was Froda's doing.
so Frodo was there?
Froda set it up so that Froda's to be wife, Emily, and Gail were basically introducing themselves to random strangers and asking whether they could kiss them. And
Oh,
Frodo was getting all of this on video.
oh, I did not remember that Frodo was there, and that's interesting.
Yes.
So you must have brought Frodo. I didn't.
I don't recall. Uh,
So when we started, when we proposed the Knowledge Federation conference in 2007 in Leipzig, Dino did some deep research and found out that this guy named Yuzuru Tanaka had already done one.
mhm,
So he invited him, and Yuzuru showed up,
mhm,
and I kind of got him to laugh. I would walk into that university classroom one morning early, and he was sitting there busy, and I just said, "Ohio gozaimasu,"
mhm.
and he started to laugh. He thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard, and and so he ended up sending me a copy of his book. So I sent him a copy of my wind power book and my XML topic maps book. And but this is the interesting thing. When you go out of Dubrovnik and you wind up that windy road to the airport and you fly out of Dubrovnik, um, you can go all kinds of directions. And he and I were on the same flight, and we landed in We landed in I think it was Berlin, I forgot. And he was from there, he was going off to another conference in Europe somewhere. But I had my thesis chair, Simon Buckingham Shum, come to the conference.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he asked me why was he there, and we were sitting at doing lunch at the airport, and he said why was he there, and I said, well, I'm doing a PhD with him, and he said, you don't need a PhD, and I said, yeah, well, that's really nice coming from you, but I just felt that I needed the journey, the process of going, jumping through the hoops and doing the research and blah blah blah. And he said, "Well," he says, "Yeah, he says that part's good, but you don't really need it."
Mhm.
That's what happened was he started coming regularly. And in 2016, the last show of that show, he confided, he says, the reason I come here is you.
Mhm.
And so in 2014, at that meeting, he said, I want you to give a keynote in Tokyo next year. So in 2015, in January or February, Linda and I flew to Tokyo and I gave a keynote. And then he flew me from Tokyo up to Sapporo, and I had to give my talk again to his other professors and his students.
Mhm.
And that's where I got my first full-on demo of Webble Worlds, and I was blown completely away,
Yeah.
just blown away. And then in 2016, he said, I want you to come and do it again. So we went to Tokyo in 2017. Kayla, are you driving?
Morning,
No,
Kayla.
I am home. I have no makeup on.
That's all right. You can still show your face. We don't mind.
I don't want
Ah,
to.
I
I
have no makeup on.
Neither do I.
don't
And
want to
here's
show
my
my
face.
face.
Here's my no makeup face right here.
Yeah, and this is mine. So Kayla, you're under pressure.
Nope, I don't buy into pressure.
Here it's all about consent.
Exactly. I'm
All
done
right.
with pressure.
By the way, in these sessions where we mostly stay off video, the rendered files that get uploaded to YouTube are way smaller, obviously, but I
Yes.
didn't realize how small they are. Like
Yeah.
one of the sessions where none of us got on video, it's only like 200 megs or so, whereas yesterday's with five or six participants and everybody pretty much mostly on video, it was like over 4 gigs
Yep. Yep.
yesterday.
Most of them have been 3 or 4 gigs for me.
Yeah. Anyway, not a big deal. Just thought I'd mention that little piece of trivia. I used to just upload, excuse me, the raw Zoom produced videos up to YouTube. And lately, for the last month or two, I've been putting a little title clips on the ends, beginning and end, because I thought it'd be useful to identify the date and the participant. So
That's
that takes
useful.
an extra 15 minutes per video, mostly editing time, because the rendering time on this new gig only takes less than 6 minutes now. So it's worth it, I think, to put it up there and make it look semi-planned. Anyway, so there, you've already seen my ugly mug. And just so you know, we're always prepared and we do our homework before the session. In case we ever get running out of topics, I have three in particular that Kayla has lined up for us.
That was a joke, dude.
Uh, I'm autistic. I can't tell when you're joking.
That, yeah.
Sam wants to hear my stories.
Kayla's got lots of stories. Kayla's
I
lived a much
do.
more interesting life than I've lived, Jack. Anyway, the first one shouldn't be too complicated to tell, and it shouldn't be too controversial. The first topic was, and I think you and I mentioned this, our different notions of God. But that topic, sometimes gets a little bit too much airplay. So I just wanted to just notice it for the record, but we don't have to go there. Jack, how have you been in the last, let's say, 22 hours or so?
The last 22 hours, what's amazing is I'm still alive.
I'm also thankful that I got to see the right side of the grass today.
Yeah, it's look, you kids don't quite understand what it's like to circle the drain, so to speak. You're still up there water skiing in the pond.
No, I'm not water skiing.
That's a metaphor. Did you ever water ski?
Nope.
Oh God, it's just tons of fun.
Oh, I'm sure. I just haven't had any like rich friends that owned any of that stuff.
Well, it you there at some lakes, there are places where you can just pay $30 and go water skiing. They're in out in Riverside, East Riverside. When I was in college, there was a place where they had dredged a an oval shaped trench and filled it with water, and in the middle was an island, and that island had these towers with cables, and there would be these um, uh, what's called ropes with handles that would swing by the dock, and you would grab it and jump off the dock, and away you'd go, and it would pull you around and around the oval, and that that was a lot of fun, but it turned out that the side pull of being yanked by along by something that wasn't right out in front of you or even near you ended up making my arms hurt. But other than that, it was. And by the way, out in the Mojave Desert, there was one just like it. And when they decided to put a freeway from Palmdale to Mojave, they cut it right through the middle of that guy's pond.
Send a message.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just they drew a straight line and it was there. And they didn't bother to figure out how to go around. They just bought the guy out and went right through it.
The
And
guy might have been brilliant.
on the freeway, you could still see the evidence of the ski pond.
You know what I was actually a little bit surprised by yesterday, if I might touch on a new topic.
Sure.
I was surprised we went for a whole 2 hours yesterday, or almost, and never mentioned Colbert or Kimmel or any of that activity. Did we?
No,
I don't think we did.
I don't think about it much because it's Trumpian distraction from the big problems he's facing.
Yeah, but it indicates how cowardly the the networks caved in. Well, they had no
Oh,
spine whatsoever.
It's cowardly because of who's running the FCC. Basically, it's Donald Trump, no matter what name you put on the leader.
Hmm.
And if you want to get new bandwidth or this or that or the other thing, you got to lick the boot, kiss the ring.
And could I introduce another one?
go
The
ahead.
topic of parenting came up yesterday, and we old men were talking about being parents, but the young woman was driving a car and trying to text us and trying to add some thoughts to this thing. And the young woman, I later find out, was frustrated by the old men who were talking about parenting. I'm leaving out the names, to protect the guilty. Okay.
I'm curious what was frustrating.
The fact that nobody asked me. That was what's frustrating. I don't know if you guys remember, but I do have young children, and I do work at an organization that helps kids,
Called United
families.
Parents.
Yeah. And I don't know how many times I say that. But no, I was more so frustrated at the fact that I could not speak with you guys, and it was a topic that I'm very familiar with and would have loved to put my 2 cents in. But yeah, I mean, in a lot of um, I find okay. I'll just say this: when I was speaking to the latest cohort for the Leadership Academy, one of them brought up a really good question that I wish I could go back and answer it differently. She asked me, "What do you do when other people are speaking over you or whatnot?" And my quick answer to that is, you're just going to have to raise your hand and make yourself known. And it is, I don't know why I said that, but it was probably like in the heat of the moment. It's the obvious one, but I do not believe in that. I do believe that listening has a lot more power. Being mindful of who is in the room has a lot more power. Giving people the opportunity to speak, who may not normally speak, says volumes of the person who is actually doing it. So I'm a huge advocate for that. And so that kind of, just to let you guys know, has been a long time frustration of mine, just in general with social circles, because very few cultures and circles give people the voice to speak, especially if if they know the people that are in the room. That is one thing that I try to do in my organization, is I try to say, like, hey, you're the one, like for instance, United Parents. I'll say, hey, so and so, you're the one who leads the support groups. What do you think? Or if I'm writing a grant on educational advocacy, I go to the educational advocates. I do have the voice to write this grant, but I always go to the people who may be experts in it. And I was frustrated because I wanted to speak out and I just couldn't.
I'm really curious why that happened. I personally can't imagine ignoring you.
Well, I don't know. I was like in a space where it was just the timing sucked. There was a bunch of people in the room. They're all actors, so they're all hands. They're all talking at once, and I was trying very hard to interrupt you guys and say, "Hey, I'm um I'm gonna chat," but I couldn't because I guess Sam didn't hear me because all of the other noise, overpowered my voice. But I don't know. You guys didn't ask me. You didn't ask me.
So I don't know if we need to rehash this, but I am curious. What were we talking about where you should have been invited in.
About parenting.
I do remember.
I tell me.
Kayla, may I?
Yeah, go for it.
I
Remember
think,
that my episodic memory is shot. I don't remember.
okay, as I recall, and I can be wrong, and I often am, but I think we were talking about technology and introduction of technology, and I was telling a story about Nick and how he got a Power Mac at about 2 years old and got, Putt Putt Goes to the Moon. And that was in the general theme of how we were raised in a time that's different from the one that our parents were raised in. And likewise, our kids are being raised in a time that's different than when we were being raised. So different practices, different perspectives could apply, and not enough of us, myself included, take that into account. I believe that was the topic. Kayla?
Yes.
In that context, I do recall suggesting that even Kayla's parents in 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 the Philippines would not have had anything that we had. And you did respond to that.
You meaning Kayla?
Yeah, Kayla
Yeah.
did not respond. She
Yes.
responded.
Yeah. It was something else too. It was you had mentioned something about like somebody had mentioned something being about the parents. Um, I'm sorry. Can I'm just gonna pause for a second because I'm ordering groceries because I don't have any time to pick it up.
Okay.
And my Instacart person is talking to me or is
Okay.
chatting with me. So
Go
if you
for it.
guys don't mind, I'll get back to you on that when I can
Six
actually.
and a half pound rib roast.
Right.
I'll be leaving at 9 to go into Ward's group.
Okay. I appreciate whatever time you spend here, Jack.
Did you get the message I gave you on Matrix?
Oh, that was maybe what, a week or so
Oh,
ago?
yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
It was a YouTube about the fabrication of the Apollo 13 movie, and it's all about collaboration.
I'll check it. One of the things I have difficulty with is just really understanding what the objects are in the whole matrix world. What is element? What is matrix? What is the protocol? What are servers? So I haven't wrapped my head around all of that yet. I know I installed it once, but now I'm on a new machine and now I have to reinstall it again.
Yeah, and when you go in and you go to the DM between the two of us, you'll find a YouTube link that I thought you would probably enjoy.
Okay.
When they wanted to make Apollo 13, they couldn't find a movie studio that would take it because it didn't have any blood and guts and warmongering, and certainly no sex. And so they managed to turn it around into the story of radical collaboration. And they found a studio that would go for that.
Hey, which studio was that, by the way?
Don't remember.
I like that. That's a good introduction for me. You know how to get to me.
And what's amazing is that um, Tom Hanks insisted that they do the same training as the astronauts, and that they didn't fake the zero G. They literally shot the zero G stuff in the Vomit Comet.
Hmm.
So they experienced 20-second bursts of zero G filming that. So they went through part and parcel of what the astronauts did. And
Hmm.
the instruments that were shown, everything that was shown in there was right as it was originally.
Uh-huh. That's nice. I would have loved to have been part of that movie. Let me turn this alarm off.
You did see them.
Oh, oh, sorry.
Um, yeah, go for it, Kayla.
I'm back if you guys
Hmm.
want to go back to that topic. So in terms of parenting, what I had wanted to say was from my findings of um, so I told Sam yesterday that I'm privy to a lot of the executive director's reports because I have to, look at stats and look at success stories and such. But the educational advocates were saying that it was very difficult for them to get a hold of the parents, when they want to advocate for their child. So our educational advocates will help parents that are having trouble with the educational system. Their children have often, have behavioral health problems, act out. They're on IEPs. They've got, low test scores, stuff like that. So their job is to ensure that the parents are, or the child is getting what they need in terms of educational services that, um, sorry, um, that they are, um, the school is following the IEP plan, what may go wrong, etc. They're just trying to help. And the educational advocates are saying that a lot of the parents are just non-responsive for a variety of reasons. Either they don't have time, they don't, they're afraid because of the recent ICE raids. Language problems, no, because our educational advocates are often bilingual. Do they have? Sorry, like I have no idea why the grocery stores don't have any food. So, anyways, the
I
shoppers,
have a clue.
yeah,
Never mind. Never
no,
mind.
no, no. We can go there. But anyhow, that's what I had wanted to say is the parents, for whatever reason, are not as involved in their children as they should be in order for their child to be successful, successfully educated in high school, and in middle school, unfortunately, and in elementary school too. And so, when you guys were talking about, um, God, what was it? Like, kids just not getting out or being online too much and not, having the same regulations, or like they don't have, parents aren't giving them rules or boundaries. It
Hmm.
is a problem. And I personally don't know what it is. And we're trying really hard to encourage the parents to be involved. Like you have to set boundaries for your kids, maybe 1 or 2 hours of social media. You've got to be transparent with them and say, I'm going to look through your phone. And one of the things that I do with my kid is from time to time, I will say, hey, I'm going to look through your phone. And I'll say, you need to tell me your password, just so um, they, just so I can see if he's changed it or not. I look through all of his messages, just making sure he's behaving. Look through his social media, and before I look through it, I tell him, I said, "Is there anything here that you're gonna think that I will not like?" And to like, you just have to build that rapport and talk to them and educate them on the dangers of being on social media. It's a good opportunity to talk about any social emotional things that they're going through. And I don't understand why parents just don't do that. I do have an inkling, though. I think most parents are just overwhelmed. They aren't getting their basic needs met. They don't value education because they don't have time. And it just like kind of sucks all around. But that's the gist of what um, I had wanted to express to you guys. But I'm sure I would have said it a lot better yesterday because now I'm distracted and I'm really trying to get my beef because I can't cook without it. So I apologize, you guys.
You do know that beef isn't good for you.
Yeah, and I don't know why you told me that because I'm set on getting my beef and there's nothing that's going to change.
Oh, I know it's not good, but now I get to say I told you so when something happens. You know what I'm saying?
Now's not the time, but thank you.
Kayla, I was an active parent. I would spend time at my kids' schools, and that's because I was self-employed and could pull it off. And the school asked me, there was another active family in the school, and the guy had a graphics shop, a graphic arts shop, computer graphics shop down near Berkeley, and he told me that they were replacing all of their Macintosh, the popcorn Macintosh, the old one, with the newer Macs, and he had six of them that he wanted to give to the school, but the power supplies had died. So he agreed to pay for the new power supplies if I would put them in, and then I gave them to the school. And so the school asked me if I would teach programming to the GATE group, of which there was about a half a dozen. And I found two of the kids that I thought were just stunningly way ahead of everybody. And so I said, I'd like to hire you as both as summer interns. And one of them, the father said, "Why on earth would my son want to do that?" And that was it, game over. And the other one, that turned out that her father was literally borderline insane. He would attack the bus driver. He did all kinds of weird shit. And I really felt sorry for her, but I did not want to get involved with that family, so I didn't hire her. But what I saw was parents who who fundamentally, school for them is babysitting. Sure got quiet in here.
I'm raising my hand
Oh, sorry, I'm not looking at you.
because when you said, Kayla, that parents didn't value education, and then Jack followed up with a story that school is just for babysitting, I'm trying to pick my jaw up from the metaphorical floor because that is so alien to me.
Oh, of course, to us it is alien, but there's us and there's them.
Yeah. But look, do do people understand? the arc of history and why we have things like washing machines or, cars and buses and phones? Or did they just get born? Somebody teaches them for 5 minutes how to use something, and that's the end of it. No more thought, given to it. That is unfortunate if that is the case.
We we encountered a lot of families who were simply homeschooling. They didn't trust the public school for a variety of reasons. In my town, they're homeschooled because they don't want their kids being brainwashed. And and then there's the parents who send their kids to parochial school of one sort or another. Um, so there are parents who care about their kids getting a decent education, but they're just not. I don't see them as they're the skirts in a bell curve. Sam.
Okay. How do I say this? To homeschool, you still have to comply with some available syllabus. It's not like you can just make up your own curriculum.
Oh, that part's correct.
So that syllabus still has to lead the student and ideally also the parent through basic arithmetic, basic science, basic biology, basic, civics, whatever it is that is necessary in order to comply with getting some kind of accreditation or passing to the next grade. And that is still not properly executed if people don't understand how the arc of history, arc of civilization has evolved over the last, I don't know how many years, go back to whenever you want to do a start. And this again feeds into this theme. You could sort of view it as a underlying 3-degree Kelvin kind of a theme now for me, which is we got to build whatever next civilization we want to create around the central appreciation for the role of education. It's there kind of as an afterthought right now. It's kind of there as kind of a feeder school for factories today, but it's not fundamentally trying to get people to think, right? It's trying to get people to just do what their bosses tell them to do. It's a fundamental change. So that's going to be one of my focuses now as Engelbart plus plus and Global Sim plus plus, et cetera, et cetera. I'm adding that to my mix of themes. Over.
Kayla, you didn't react. Kayla's
Kayla's
on.
on mute.
She's probably cooking her beef.
No,
No,
I'm
she's probably
trying to
ordering
get,
another
yeah,
10 pounds.
I'm really disappointed in this. I'm just getting really annoyed. It's probably the app and not the shopper. Like I want to make Brazilian feijoada. And yes, it includes beef. And I've wanted to make it for the past week. And I'm just like really annoyed because I'm on this app that I thought would save time. And it's not working for me right now. This woman supposedly is on her way, and I don't know if she has all my shit. And so now I just wasted time trying to save time. And so I put myself on mute because I'm very annoyed and I don't know if I can, participate in this. But this is a classic case of the problem for the average parent, albeit single parent. We don't have, unfortunately, the luxuries to engage in something meaningful because we have to deal with just basic life and basic bullshit. And sadly, it becomes kind of, if you aren't on top of it, um, it, like it's a huge setback. And, it's almost like life may not go to your favor if you don't play this like retarded game. Um, you know, not that all of this is on Instacart, but it's just an example of like why I have to tell myself this is an example of why our clients need help. This is an example of why I try to fight, and why I try to be mindful of my future, and I try to care, and I try to care for other people. But it's difficult to do that if it's hard enough for you to care for yourself. Like today, I would love to decorate, but I've got a bunch of shit to do. And I thought I was saving time. And now I feel like time is kind of slipping away. So I have to be in a mindset that doesn't put me in a bad mood, because being in a bad mood makes me unproductive. So I apologize if I'm not answering or if I'm short, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
It strikes me that if you gave yourself $1 an hour for all of your labors and paying for Instacart and all of the rest of the battles, you could probably go to a Filipino restaurant and get exactly what you want.
No, I'm sorry, I can't, because the dish that I'm cooking is Brazilian. And when I do go to the Filipino stores, the quality is poor. So, if I do want quality Filipino food, then I would just make it myself.
Got it. We do have a Filipino store here in Temecula. Just discovered it recently, and it's a pretty amazing store.
You know, unfortunately, I can't relate to the Instacart issue because Instacart does not deliver to the remote location where I live.
Right.
However, I have successfully ordered stuff online using Costco. And Amazon Prime also is not available where I am. I used to take advantage of that a lot when I lived in the Bay Area. And I don't do nearly as much shopping as I do on Amazon Prime back then. But I did find one or two items that I like from Costco that's not available at that price from anywhere else. So I was just curious, and this is just a gentle suggestion. I don't know if it would work for you, whether or not you've tried Costco online delivery, Kayla.
Okay, so she's gone.
Well, she's just muted right now. Yeah. Anyway, uh,
Back to education for the moment.
mhm.
Are you familiar with the Steiner schools?
Not in any detail.
So there's Steiner and there's Montessori as the two radical schools. Montessori
That's
is all,
Waldorf, right?
hmm?
Is that Waldorf also?
Steiner is Waldorf. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Um, Montessori um, is all about manipulatives. They give the kids things functionally the equivalent of Lego blocks and all kinds of other things so that they get the eyes, the hands, and the mind all coupled together, and they have the kids do projects.
Mhm.
Steiner decided that the right way to teach kids to learn to read was don't teach them to learn to read until about third grade. And what they do in the meantime is they do a lot of dance and a lot of singing and a lot of poetry that they have to memorize. And that is a mechanism. It's functionally, in my mind, the same as taking the kid to the zoo a lot of times, imprinting them with all kinds of vocabulary, sights and sounds and smells. And then by the time they're in third grade, reading just becomes a thing to do. It's just that much easier. Montessori and Steiner are two Waldorf are two alternative schools that really get it. Now, Montessori only goes uh, through grammar school. They don't go into middle school or high school. I don't know. I think Steiner may go into high school. I don't know.
Okay, so let me ask you this, since I don't know in detail about these models. How would you characterize Japanese education? Because I know that the Japanese seem to grow generations and generations of considerate, respectful, highly educated children and adults. And they cooperate well. They're not supremely selfish. They are very collaborative. Now, the work culture in Japan, that's a different thing. But I'm talking about the educational system in Japan, which, in my mind, along with the Finnish system, seems to be remarkable in its ability to turn out good people.
So I actually never even gave that much thought. But here's a side story in relation to that. You remember the tsunami that took out the nuclear plant in
Yes, Fukushima.
Fukushima. Well, so I was watching television, um, and this was they were showing a little town where a river through the town was rising and rising and rising and rising, and all the people were scrambling and helping each other.
Yes,
And I wrote I I think it was at a what do you remember what year that was?
I don't.
Either I was face to face with Yuzuru or I wrote to him, but I think I
Oh,
was
it was before 2012. So it was 2011 or 2010, I believe,
okay.
sometime in that time range.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And so it was Ed Dubrovnik. I sat him down and I said, I watched this video of how the people in Japan help each other. Can you explain why that is? And he thought about it for quite a while and he says, I really don't have the English words, but it's something like we're all coupled as like with springs.
Intertwingled in a sense, Ubuntu in another sense.
Well, intertwingled wasn't the word he chose. He chose the
I know,
word
I know.
connect. We're all coupled to each other
Yeah,
uh, in a springy fashion, a flexible fashion.
yes.
And and I thought that was really powerful.
I remember sitting on the bus in 2012 with Dr. Tanaka, and we at a point did discuss the tsunami and earthquake, and he was familiar, even though I did bring it up, with the fact that in that entire disaster, Do you know the country that sent the most amount of financial aid to Japan?
I do not know.
It was the country of Taiwan. More so than the US, more so than any other country. Taiwan sent the largest amount. Now, I'm not saying that's the only thing that matters, but it is one metric.
It is a very interesting one. And I forgot that it was you that rode with him in the bus. You lucky.
Yes, he was sitting to my left, I was sitting to his right, and then
Correct.
you were in the back, and David was on your right, and yeah, so that's when Mei Lin said, "I want you guys to meet each other," and so I tried to get to know David by turning around with my body at 270 degrees, and
Right.
and unfortunately, I put my back towards Dr. Tanaka, so I tried to swivel back and engage him from time to time.
No, but I'm glad he got to ride with you. That's of enormous interest to me.
I really respected that because at the end of the trip, no, it wasn't that trip. It was a different trip when he came to the Marconi Center.
That's correct.
One of those two trips.
Did
One
you
of those two trips, he gave me a gift.
did you drive him to Marconi?
Yes, I did.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
Yes,
I drove David.
yeah. But he gave me a gift of something I really love. I shouldn't love it. I should not eat it, but I love it so much. It was a Japanese candy slash delicacy called yokan. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No, I think he gave me some of that once.
Yeah. A nice little box, very nicely packaged,
Oh
six
yeah,
different boxes
it's
inside.
amazing how they do that.
Yes.
It's like they really care.
Yeah. Everything's done with meticulous attention to detail.
Yep.
That's why they're so good at micro components. Anyway, yeah, I have some fond memories. And anyway, we got a little bit off topic, I think. But the core point that I was trying to, I guess, restate and you were responding to is this one about if we have any hope of creating a new civilization here, there's got to be around an appreciation, a much, much deeper appreciation for learning, for education,
You got
for,
that right.
fostering, how children grow,
That
which
is
includes not just schools, but parents.
Yep.
Schools should not be responsible for kids learning proper manners or even some amount of discipline. If the parents don't have discipline, the kid's already at a disadvantage. Now, the kid can still acquire disciplinary habits, but it's much harder when the parents don't demonstrate that, don't live that for the kid.
Amen.
I'm guilty of that myself, I admit. But in some ways, I'm very disciplined. In other ways, I am not. I can see that.
Well, so this is what's happening in Texas. There's a school that opened in Texas where they use nothing but LLMs to run the coursework. And it's done in 2 hours in the morning, and the rest of the day is spent with athletics and dance and other stuff. And there are fundamentally no teachers. And apparently the success rate, the learning rate of these kids is pretty staggering.
But who's there to actually do the final evaluation? Is that up to another LLM or is there some individual human being doing that?
Well, there's probably humans. I don't know the whole story. It's just um I keep forgetting I keep forgetting the name of the school, but apparently it's franchising now. The point I wanted to make was there are parents who really want the kids to have the best education, and they can afford it, but they can't be involved because of their career choices and blah, blah, blah. So there is a business model. Now, what's wretched about it is it simply widens the gap between the haves and the have-nots. So, in my view, if you run that kind of a business, you have to have scholarships for the kids whose parents can't afford it. And it is time for me to leave.
Bye, Jack.
Good to see you, Jack. There's so much I want to follow up on, but Kayla,
Yes, I'm back. She got my beef.
Where's the
how's your
beef?
I got it. Yay.
is it already in your grubby hands?
No, and I have to wash my pressure cooker and then I'll make my feijoada.
On behalf of whomever might be here, I apologize if you felt pressured in some way today.
Oh, I mean, it was not your fault at all. If anything, I was like annoyed again. And it kind of dawned on me that I was thinking several things. Okay, number one, I just feel like Jack kind of missed the point of what I was saying. I could be wrong, especially when it came to listening. And then I realized that, there is a level of kind of unawareness, or maybe there was like, me not articulating it well. And also, I was a little like pissed off because I was like, now is not the time to tell me beef is not good for you. I know it's not good for you, like, especially in large quantities,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if I'm fixated on that, why would you say that to me? And so
At
there,
that
it was
moment.
just, yes, yes, a level of insensitivity. And so I let that go as best as I could and,
Yeah.
kind of made my point as best as I could. But also, like, I feel like he sees me as just everything is just Filipino. Like,
Mhm.
my dish is filled, it's not Filipino, man.
Yeah.
like,
I heard the Brazilian
like
the first time.
exactly, that's what I said. And that just raised my point of we just are terrible at listening to one another. Terrible. And
George
terrible at
Bernard
taking
Shaw.
accountability. Yeah, it's like you can't like I tried my best to say, look, I can't be in this conversation because this is where my mind is at.
You did say
But
that.
when people are like their mind is clearly not like listening, they don't even acknowledge that, and I don't understand why. I mean, I suppose you don't have to, but wouldn't that like be a really good way to communicate to somebody so that they're very clear, like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that the first time.
Yeah.
But anyways, those are like really petty stuff. I'm not trying to be petty this morning. I still want to decorate, that's why. Can't decorate if I'm being petty.
Life has a number of really big momentous moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're few and far between, it seems. The stuff that really regulates our mood, our, general disposition is the small stuff.
Yeah,
So a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. 5 seconds later, this happens again. It's like it does add up. So it's really how we handle the small stuff that is really interesting on a day-to-day basis.
yeah, exactly.
Now, there's a flip side to that. which I think, I try to aspire to and is expressed by Thich Nhat Hanh, which I cannot even come close to, which is every moment is a miracle.
Mhm.
But I have trouble maintaining that perspective. And one thing Jack does do is he, I think, tries to give people a sense that he's maybe aware of it. This is in my own words, this is not in Jack's words, but he does introduce himself as somewhere on the spectrum.
Ah,
So I try to keep that in mind at times.
yeah, I'm trying to be as kind as I can, regardless of
Mhm,
my own emotional triggers, to
mhm,
people that I already know are very well meaning, um, and come from a good place.
mhm.
So, but thank you for telling me that. I think he might have even said that.
Usually, when he's introducing himself to a brand new group, that's one of the things he does um, include in his first introduction.
I have to give it to these guys like Barry, too, for noticing that about themselves. Most people don't even know that about themselves, especially if it's mildly on the spectrum.
Mhm.
And it makes a huge difference in social connections.
So let me ask you a personal question. Is that okay?
Of course.
It's personal for myself, okay? Which is, I've been told by some that I exhibit behavior that might suggest that I'm on the spectrum. Should I include that in my introduction to groups? I've not been ever formally diagnosed with it,
Um, I don't know. I suppose that's a personal thing.
but from your understanding, though, do you think that's a valid assessment, or have you seen evidence to support that?
No. I
Really?
think you're normal. I'm sorry.
Damn it. There goes that
You can't
excuse.
use that. Exactly. You can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah, I'm normal.
But I'm sorry, you're part of the majority, unfortunately, like all of us, or like me too. I can't be special like that.
I hate being part of the majority.
I know, right?
Who was it that said, if you ever find yourself in the majority, it's time to take a good close look? Or some words to that effect.
I
I think it was
know.
Mark Twain. Yeah, so I did want to be able to reintroduce that education topic or parenting topic that um, you wanted to respond to yesterday. I don't think we properly dealt with it, but at least we got into it a little bit, I think.
Maybe there's a reason. I feel like like twice already. I was given an opportunity to speak about it, and then it's just this distraction came through. So I got to pay attention to that. Timing has a lot to do with um,
Oh, hmm.
effectiveness. Yeah,
Can I confess something about yesterday?
yeah, absolutely.
I believe you had said you're driving, you're on the way towards a filming destination. And I said,
Hmm.
approximately when might you be getting there? And you said something like 9 o'clock. Okay. So in my
Yeah,
mind, a switch flipped right around 9 o'clock, which was up until nine, Kayla's engaged. After nine, Kayla may not be engaged. Does that there was a switch in my mind that was placed right there at 9 o'clock. So I think that probably contributed to why I didn't notice that you were trying to participate via text. Because there was a
yeah.
time, yes, and I do confess, that you were trying to speak, and I heard a lot of noise in the background.
Yes.
And I thought you were speaking to somebody else. I didn't realize you were speaking to us. And so I said something like, "Hey, Kayla, I guess there's a lot of background noise, so I'm going to meet you now." I really had no idea you were trying to speak to us. That's how much noise there was.
Yeah, I know. I
So
recognize
I'm
that
I'm
too.
I'm admitting to that. Okay, that's what happened. Now I realize now, or even later yesterday, that you were trying to communicate with us. So I apologize for muting you inappropriately.
Oh, it's okay. No apologies needed. And you were absolutely right to make that assumption. That switch in your brain,
Mm.
just again, bad timing.
Yesterday I had a little puppy birthday party.
Yeah, that was cute.
I always love seeing some of the other puppies. It turned out
Yeah.
we only had five puppies there yesterday, but it's still really good to see Steve. Steve and Crystal adopted two of the puppies, Maui and Hercules. And boy, those dogs are big. They're wide. They are not starving ever. They're in no danger of starving.
Fed
But
well.
when I grew up and when I was first introduced to Goldens, I thought Goldens were always that wide. You
Yeah.
because all the Goldens I met back then were very well fed.
Yeah.
But the vets
How
have
funny.
kind of convinced me that, hey, that's not doing them a service. That's making them unhealthy. But they're so cuddly when they're that big, though. I love that.
Yeah.
And their personalities are so different. Hercules is very cuddly. He wanted to just, it seemed like he remembered me, so he was like always coming up to me, leaning on me, wanting me to pet him. Whereas Maui was very disinterested. So that was strange.
Those are like typical huskies.
I know that's how
The opposite
the
behavior
husky personality, and that's why I guess I bond more with Goldens because of that.
because of the cuddliness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just so human centric, It's like we had five Goldens there, and nobody at any time ever thought that, oh, they might just go running off. No, they just love to be around other Goldens and the people.
Yeah.
Whereas I could imagine other species that, boy, they would just bolt, for the street, or they would just
Oh
go
yeah. Like my
disappear
dog.
for an hour or two. Hmm.
Yeah. And I like huskies because of their independence.
Hmm.
And they're all, kind of wild and
Yeah.
entertaining.
Let's say something about the kind of guys that you like to. Never mind. I'm not going to go there. Sorry, that was inappropriate. Sorry.
Yeah, my choices weren't that great.
I am sorry I said that. Mm.
No, it's okay. That's funny. Well, that explains why I just know Jack wouldn't appreciate my stories, especially if he's slightly on the spectrum.
Mm. As soon as we disconnect, I'm going to be finishing up this little write-up for hopefully an agreement that I can make with this guy on these rentals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a complicated deal that I'm really trying to make sure all the details are corrected. he doesn't get screwed, I don't get screwed. I'm really trying to make sure that that's handled carefully. So that's why I'm taking some extra time to do this.
Yeah, I get it.
Hmm.
Well,
And every day that goes by is another opportunity for you to say, I got the job. I can afford it now.
yeah, I won the lotto.
That's right. It pays 200K a year now. I can do
Yeah.
it.
Oh boy. Well, shall we call it a day then? Because I have to go to the bathroom and then I have to eat
Come on,
and
you've
then I
done
have
that
to cook.
before. You don't have to quit just because you have to go to the bathroom.
No, it's not that number.
Oh,
It's the other number.
it's okay. I can't smell it.
Oh my gosh. All righty then. Oh, I will get off if that's okay. And I really did enjoy this conversation, even if I got frustrated, and I enjoyed it because you know I saw stages of myself.
Mm.
I was aware of certain stages of myself, and I was able to control it.
Well, that goes back to the original purpose for these calls, which is to really learn how we do this better, whether we
Yeah,
understand our triggers, understand our disagreements, understand our assumptions, understand our disappointments and, expectations. So
yeah.
I actually think it's all aligned. But yes,
Good.
do go off and do your number two for the record. And I just
Just in case anybody has any doubts.
let's close on that note.
All right, Sam, have a great time, and I'm sure I'll chat with you later.
Okay, thanks. Talk to you later. Bye for now.
Okay, bye.
Mhm.